Well, good evening. This is Wednesday, the 15th of December, 2021. And I mentioned that date because I believe that today is going to be a date to remember. And I know that right now you are ready to experience and to be inspired. I certainly am. And I'm looking to be inspired this evening, just like you. And I'm looking forward to hear what our panelists have to share after the session. And I really believe that as we engage this evening, that you're going to receive a message. And when I talk about a message tonight, I'm not talking about the interruptions that we get on our mobile devices, which I just happen to be receiving right in the moment. So I'm talking about something different. You know, often I speak to people and I'm concerned about the message that I am delivering. But it dawned on me this afternoon in preparing for tonight's talk that the message people get seems to come from somewhere else. You know, it's not the words that I speak, something else happens within them. And I've become aware of the fact that there's a number of ingredients that contribute to the message that you and I hear when we listen to someone else. You see, everyone that is listening to this presentation is going to hear a different message. And the reason I say they're going to hear a different message is because they are in a place where they are experiencing unique situations or circumstances. And that is for certain. Every single one of us has a unique situation that we find ourselves in right now. Another thing that's interesting is that we all have our own set of experiences. Some have 20 years of experience. Others have 1 year of experience repeated 20 times. Some people have 50 years of experience. Some people have lived a life that is filled with interesting and exciting experiences. And you know, all of those experiences together have prepared them differently for the message that they're going to receive this evening. Another thing that's unique about you and I is that we have different hopes and aspirations. And you see, our situation or our circumstance that we find ourselves in, the experiences that we've had in life, our hopes and aspirations for the future, together with the words that you hear tonight, are going to contribute towards the message that you hear. And you know what's amazing, and the message that you and I receive is something that seems to be spoken into our heart. You know, you can be sitting there ready to take notes tonight, and you're busy listening attentively to the talk, and suddenly something just drops in your heart. And when that happens, I believe inspiration has occurred. And so my hope for you tonight is that you and I and everybody that listens to this recording will be inspired. I want to remind you that on a day like today, there was a person like David who woke up a shepherd boy, but when he went to bed that night, he was the king of the Israelites. On a day like today, Daniel woke up and was thrown into a den of lions, but by nightfall, he was the equivalent of the prime minister. There was a day when Joseph was thrown into prison, or rather he was in prison in the morning, but by the evening he was second only to the Pharaoh of Egypt. There are remarkable things that happen every single day. And you know something, right now, I don't know where you find yourself, but the way that you woke up this morning could be very different to the way you go to bed tonight. The person that woke up this morning should never be the same person that goes to bed at night. And so when we step out of our home, people might see us exiting our house or our home. But I want to paint a different picture, because the exit signs that I see in my life, I have changed to entry signs, because I know when I exit the space that I'm in, I'm entering into the place where I can inspire others. Your mandate lies beyond your comfort zone. So you should be exiting your comfort zone and entering into the place of chaos where you can create the order that you so desperately seek to live in. Tonight is about being inspired. And you know, when you step out of your home into that mission field, it's important that you begin to develop your perceptions, to be able to perceive what's really happening around you. I'm not talking about seeing with your physical eye. I'm not talking about being observant and seeing all the things around you. I'm wanting you to step out and begin to perceive, to begin to see with your mind's eye a future that is exciting, that is something where the problems of this world have been solved, where the needs have been met, and that you have been part of that journey. I want you to be able to see a future where you are experiencing fulfillment, a future where you have connected with your purpose and are beginning to pursue it. In order to perceive what's really happening around you, I think it is important for us to be prayerful. Yeah, every morning and every evening, I step out of my property and I walk around my neighborhood. In the beginning, the mission was to simply walk the 3 kilometers that lay from the exit of my gate until I re-entered. And that was my mission, was just to walk those 3 kilometers in the morning and in the evening. Later, it became my mission to train my dog to walk alongside of me. But you know, as I began to journey around, those things became less important. And I began to perceive things differently. And I've begun to learn that as I walk around my neighborhood, that I can use that time to be prayerful. And prayer sometimes doesn't require me just to be praying to God for needs, which is what so many people do. They shoot at these please help signs or prayers going up, but rather to be in conversation. And part of conversation is to listen and to be attentive. And as I've begun to journey around my neighborhood in an attitude of listening, in a sense of being in relationship, you know, my perception of the needs of this world have been heightened. I've begun to see needs beyond the obvious. And so being perceptive is one thing. Developing our ability to be perceptive requires us to be prayerful. As I've been journeying around this neighborhood, I've also realized that while I'm walking around, I can pick things up. And every day there's something to be picked up. There are seeds to be collected. Sometimes there is rubbish that needs to be picked up and removed. Sometimes there are weeds that should be pulled out and destroyed or turned back into the soil to nourish something. Sometimes there are things that need to be poisoned out. Other times there are things to be planted. And you know, as I've been walking around, I've realized and when I've reflected on life, I've begun to learn that in life, every day, there's an opportunity for me to pick something up, to learn from somebody. And so the question that I've got to ask myself when I go to bed at night is, what did I pick up? But equally, I need to ask myself, what did I plant? What seeds did I sow? In what way did I inspire others to become all that they were born to be? And while I'm doing that, maybe there's a need to take care of, or let me use the word to stick with the P theme this evening. Maybe there are things that I need to pamper. Because you see, when you sow seed, that seed needs to be nurtured. It needs to be looked after. Today, people lack the most important ingredient for harvest, and that is the patience to wait for the seed to germinate. Because you see, the seed does not germinate in your season, it germinates in its season. And it will only germinate when the environment is right. And sometimes when you sow the seed, the environment is not yet ideal. And so time passes. But I want to say to you tonight that every seed that you sow will germinate and produce a harvest in season. The question is, are you going to be around to reap that harvest? Because, you know, if you are, you're also going to reap where you have not sown. Because patience is necessary in reaping the harvest from the seeds that you have sown on this journey called life. So the very lessons that I've been learning as I've been walking around my neighborhood are things that are extremely practical and which we can implement in our everyday life. So let's be people who are prayerfully perceptive. Let us make it our mission to every day pick something up, to plant something, to pamper something we've already planted. Maybe another P which I haven't mentioned, to prune something that is already growing. And then be patient and expect the harvest to come. And while you're being patient, persevere. These things which I've shared with you this evening will lead to unlocking the potential that exists within every living thing. And you and I need to be the people who unlock the future. So I hope that what I've shared with you tonight, together with your life's experiences, the situation you find yourself in, and your hopes and aspirations, have produced an inspired message within you that's going to cause you to take action and finish 2021 with expectation, just like the Formula One race on Sunday finished in the last seconds of the last lap of the World Championship. May your dream and your goals that you've set for this year come to fruition to those of you who do not give up until midnight on the 31st of December. And when I say give up, even beyond, continue until that dream is realized. It's been wonderful sharing with you tonight. I trust that you will join us every Wednesday evening and share this recording with others, because you might just be the very person who brings about a change in someone else's life. It's been wonderful sharing with you tonight. See you 7 p.m., same time, same place. Good night.
Thank you, Glenn. That was wonderful. And I was just thinking as you were talking, 22 years ago, almost to the day, you inspired me when I laid my hands on my first copy of Map for Life. Not that it was called Map for Life in those days. The original version I got in Christmas 1999, and it was simply called Journal 2000, and it was subtitled My History in the Making. And I looked at it there this evening as I was sitting here, and I looked at the mission statement then, and the mission statement then was to equip people to pursue their purpose with passion and perseverance for life. Interesting that even then you were talking about the P's, passion and perseverance. And for me, being a Peter, I obviously think that P's are very important. So thank you for that. And I certainly found today inspiring. And there were so many things that you said that I think are important. And I love the way you spoke about how you get up in the morning and how you walk those 3 kilometers. And I think it's those early morning habits are the key to an inspiring life. We need to start the day well. And I've got Heather joining me now. I'm not sure who else is coming in. So Heather, welcome. And what I really love about Heather is that Map for Life is about a global influence. And here I'm sitting in Johannesburg, Glenn's in Pretoria, and Heather's in, I was going to say London, but just outside of London. So it is truly an international group that we have today. And Heather, how did you start out this morning? How did you wake up?
Well, I tend to use Savers by Hal Elrod, and I go through a ritual. I also walk as Glenn does because I feel like walking does clear the mind and prepare you for the day. And whilst walking, I do tend to turn things over and segment my day and plan. So I know Glenn called it praying. That is a form of prayer, as I've understood from him today. So yeah, no, start the morning in the right way because it does set you up for the whole day. So, and yeah, it's great to be on the call. Thank you for having me. And, Map for Life has just been a great journey.
Wonderful. Now, your weather over there, and what's it like getting out early in the morning in the UK?
Well, when I first came over to the UK in 2006, I decided that I couldn't go out because it was either raining, too cold, or and my GP said to me, if you go by the weather, you'll never leave your house. So you adapt, you get used to it. As with all things in life, you adapt.
Yeah. And I think that's important. I think we require, there's a discipline that's required. And I think that if I've learned one thing on my journey with Map for Life, and is this question of discipline and the discipline of the daily habits. When you put in those hard yards, it just gets easier. I was thinking of what your weather's like at the moment, and I go out pretty early in the morning, but in the middle of winter, here in Joburg, we're at 6,000 feet, and it can be very cold. And I dress warmly for it, but it's that discipline. But it sort of gets the blood flowing and the mind thinking. I don't know how much praying I do whilst I'm out there, but I do know that I am doing some of it because I've also started by having a look at the Word and thinking about what I'm going to do as we go, as the day progresses, and just getting my mind right from the day. I see that we're joined by Ngwadi from East London. Welcome. How are you?
Fine, thanks. And you? Fine, thanks. And you?
It's wonderful. And how things in East London? That's East London down in the Eastern Cape for those from overseas, as opposed to the London that Heather's been talking about. And just to clarify that, and we've got the seaside in East London. And just by way of other things about East London, Glenn comes from East London. I spent time from East London, so I regard myself as having some East London blood in me, and so on. And Gwadi, how did you wake up this morning, and what got you excited today?
Today, it was just any other day, but I was busy with today with some domestic errands and all that since I'm home this week.
Yes.
So, and also working in the garden with my gardener and all that. So it was such a good day to be at home working around.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. For me, Wednesdays are a special day. I travel through to Pretoria every Wednesday. I have three key meetings in Pretoria on a Wednesday, one of which is with Glenn. And so it's a special day. It takes me about 45 minutes to drive through, and it just gives me time to think about what's lying ahead and what we're going to talk about. But part of that getting ready for it is that early morning ritual, and it's the exercise, and it's the preparation. I find journaling is important. Do either of you folk do much journaling? Whether you spoke about your ritual and you spoke about a very specific ritual, would you like to tell us a little more?
Well, yeah, I start off by doing my gratitudes. I think it's so important to do one's gratitudes in the morning, because the fact that you've woken up, that in itself is just a blessing. And I pray and I read my Bible, because you got to start the day right. If I'm in a rush and I forget that one thing, just opening or even just reading a verse, somehow it seems like things don't work out the way I want them to. So I like to get that done. The exercise is another thing. It just gets you all prepared for the day. Getting yourself, before you even speak to your spouse, your children, to anybody else, pick up the phone, get yourself right. So I'm very keen on what Glenn was talking about, and getting the morning right and doing that walk.
And Gwadi, what about you?
Come again?
What about your early morning rituals? Do you have any early morning rituals?
It's my daily bread. At least each and every morning, I start with a reading of the scripture and reading the scripture, and then also do some prayers before I start the day.
Yes.
Even before I take any coffee. So that's what I usually do and all that. At least it puts me in a good frame of mind throughout the day.
Yes. Now, just looking ahead, and we spoke about finishing well. What do we need to do between now and the end of the month to finish well? Is there anything that needs to be done? And have you got any plans?
I think in order to finish. Pardon?
No, carry on, Gwadi.
Yeah, I think for me, if you want to finish well from now up to the end of the year, for me, what is important is to persevere. Whatever plan you were busy with, you cannot think towards, if you want to finish well now, all of a sudden you just start to change your plan towards the end of the finishing line. What is important is just to endure and persevere until you reach, I think, the end. You reach your goal and all that.
Yes.
So this is what I believe in. That's perseverance, which also goes with patience, because these days there's less patience when it comes to human being. And what I've noted that you find that everybody is in a hurry. Everybody is just standing. Everybody wants to talk. Everybody is in a hurry. Everybody doesn't want to listen. So at least you need to have people, in actual fact, with that perseverance and patience, just say that, okay, well, now this is where we are. And then how much time is left for us to go to finish towards our destination. Thanks.
Yes. No, and that patience is so important. Heather, what about you and your plans between now and the end of the year? What do you need to do?
Well, I tend not to follow the calendar year because Glenn once actually told me that there's 365 days in a year. So, and what I notice is that while the world around you is slowing down, because they think the year is coming to an end, this is your time where you can do so much more planting, so much more sowing, because there's so many people out there that you can work with because everybody else is resting on their laurels. And it's a time now to do that pruning, get yourself ready, get yourself prepared for flourishing, So the talk tonight was really great. When you add in what Glenn said and what Ngwadi is saying about the patience and the persevering, don't stop. You never stop until you cross that finish line. And the finish line might not be the 31st of December, Peter. It might be the 6th of January. So, I'm still going for it and I'm so excited about it.
I love that. I just on a slightly different note, but following through on that theme, I learned a wonderful lesson some years back. And it was getting into probably round about September, October. And we were talking about doing things and starting something. And it was a case of saying, and I was saying, well, I'll start in the new year. And the guy I was talking to said, well, why start in the new year? I said, well, all new projects start in the new year. And he said, no, if it's important enough to start in the new year, it's even more important to start now. Absolutely. And so I've always been, ever since that moment, I've been conscious of that fact and saying, no, I'm not going to delay this until the new year. I'm going to start it now. And I find this time of the year just a little bit frustrating is that so many people have just shut down shop and they said, well, 2021 has done its course. I'm going on holiday now, and I'll look forward to what's happening in 2022 after the new year. And I just think it's a case of it's breaking momentum, losing that, and that so many people will be coming back in January and having to start all over again. So I think right now it's very important is to keep the momentum up, and so that we don't slacken off. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity to make things happen while everybody else is just taking it easy. Glenn, would you like to add something to that?
Peter, I'm just aware of the incredible number of distractions that happen at this time of the year. And one of the biggest things is that, when everyone else is going to watch movies in the UK where it's nice and warm, perhaps, or maybe in Ngwadi's territory, everyone's going down to the beach to enjoy the sunshine. There's that temptation to give up. And when I started with Map for Life, I remember I used to say to people, I'm a good starter, but a poor finisher. And the reality was I used to quit before the finish line. And I was in that
Yes.
trap of actually, when the month of December started, I would stop. And now I realize more than ever, at this time, when those distractions become their loudest, it's at this time that I need to ramp up my focus on my vision, to become absolutely single-minded and not listen there was a great quote that I remember reading many years ago. It says, if you want what other people have got, do what they do. And I can be certain that there are things that the majority of people are doing right now that is not what I want. So I need to do what they're not doing. I need to ramp up my engagement, keep my focus absolutely clear, dust off that vision board, and remain focused until the finish line is crossed. I'm no longer a quitter. I'm here for the long haul. I'm here to finish what I started.
Well done. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you. And I made a note of something you said a little earlier, and it was your mandate lies beyond your comfort zone. And I think at this time of the year, too many people fall into that comfort zone and allow things to just drag along. And it's a case of, if you're relaxing in that comfort zone, we're not reaching our mandate. So I think it's a very important time of the year to finish strongly like that, and to make things happen at this point in time. Now, from what Glenn said today, is there anything that you're going to implement? Heather, what lessons did you take from tonight?
Well, whilst Glenn was talking, and he was talking about planting and sowing, and it's the picking up. When he started speaking about the picking up, that's what got to me, because Dr. Miles Monroe said, deep within you lies a seed of greatness waiting to be germinated. So what am I picking up? What am I drawing from other people? Because every person on this earth has something to offer. We can learn something from everybody. Every single person is great. That's why God didn't give us perfection, because we wouldn't need anybody else, but we need everybody else, because we all bring something different to the table in our uniqueness. So I just, I got to pick up, and yes, as you say, it is frustrating because people are slacking down, and I want to pick up stuff from them, but if you put yourself out there and you start planting and sowing, you reap what you sow. Something's going to come back to me as well, and I'll be able to absorb it. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the year, picking up.
Super. And picking up, what else are you picking up? I sort of jotted down a slightly different note on picking up, but did you pick up anything else
from the talk? Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
on the pickup feed.
No, I was thinking, maybe I was being a bit self-centered, but I was thinking more about absorbing what everybody else had to offer. And, as you're going out your work, being more aware, using your awareness more, using your intuition more. Because, when you have that early morning ritual, that's what it's all about. It's making you more aware of your surroundings. That's why, and your awareness develops. That's why Glenn started picking up things first and noticing things, and now he's praying. So it's been a development goal.
Yes.
So yeah.
I looked at picking up knowledge, and how important it is to pick up knowledge. And I talk about one of my values is a life of continual learning. So I took that pick up to go just one little further and to be part of picking up knowledge, part of my daily learning, which I think is so important. Ngwadi, what about you? What is your take home from tonight?
Well, maybe I missed. I think the first part of the discussion. That's why now you find that I'm quiet and all that. But perhaps I do not know if you can just say that. Well, this is what, so that I can start to pick up from what you're saying.
Yes.
You know, just Peter, something that I was thinking about now when you were talking about or focusing on this idea of picking things up. I remember listening to Les Brown giving a talk some years ago, and he said something very interesting. He said, in the good times, you put it in your pocket. In the tough times, you put it in your heart. And then he went on to say, when life knocks you down, make sure you pick something up. And I think a lot of people may have experienced some circumstance or situation in this past 365 days that they've been living. And the question is, when they felt low or when they felt down, did they pick something up? And you know, it's not too late to pick something up. You can revisit that circumstance or that situation and say, what was the lesson that I learned in that moment that I can apply in my life going forward? And that maybe the lesson I learned is something I should be teaching others. So I was just reminded, as you're talking about this, picking up that question when Les Brown said, when life knocks you down, make sure you pick something up. And that was my little take home from this evening.
Wonderful, and I like that thought, and I think that's a wonderful place where to end tonight's discussion. So my message to all of those out there: let's pick something up and let's finish strong. And thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Peter.